Come on, man. Trying to finish this. Trying to eat some. This filming thing is not for the week. Oh, this thing is hard. I respect everybody because this thing is hard. Okay, I think we ready. Okay, let's do it. Hello there. How you doing? Welcome. This is video 1 of many, and we will be talking about my celibacy journey and how it started and all that great stuff. Officially, I started my celibacy December 1st, 2016. Almost at that 5-year mark, people. But anywho, I officially started December 1st, 2016. But I didn't get intentional, aka submitting my sexuality, my celibacy to God until about a month and change later. So I want to say mid-January. That's when I finally was like, God, I'm sorry. It's like control of my body because I got urges and everything. And I know what you're thinking. Yep. It was one of the toughest decisions to make simply because I knew that once I made that decision, I could have turned back. I was like, I could fail God on every other level, but you know what, if I make this one promise, I really gotta stick with it, and I really gotta get my life together after this. So that's when I officially did it, and I can say that it was one of the best choices I ever made, one of the best decisions I made. And prior to doing that, the Holy Spirit kept on tugging at my heart so hard. I grew up in a God-fearing home. I had my mother, she's a Liberian native. LIB, put your L's up. She is a prayer warrior and also an evangelist missionary. So, as a child, I got that talk. The don't have sex before marriage. I had that talk. And focus on your book. I got that talk. Sadly, when I reached the school grounds of URI, the information that was taught throughout the years, it went 1 year. It stayed there for a couple of years. But like I said, when I reached the school grounds, it said, phew. It just left. I said, wow. Wow. He said, wow. Sorry, mama. I'm sorry. Baby. After that, like, you know, as growing up, you end up doing your own thing. You find your own path. You define your path. You do your own things. And then, you know, because you're young, dumb, and stupid, you end up finding out that path wasn't the greatest to take, but you learn your lessons and you move on. And it makes the world go round. Anywho, the Holy Spirit kept on tugging at me, especially when it came to junior year. Every time I had sex, and I'm pretty sure many people can identify with this, is that when you have sex, you have like that angel and the devil on your shoulders, and they're like, the devil's like, yeah, you did the thing, you put it down, you bust it wide open, and angel's like, you know good and well you wasn't supposed to be doing that. You wasn't supposed to be doing that whatsoever. And I was like, God forgive me, cause I ain't gonna do this again. Knowing good and well, I was about to bust it wide open one more time or a couple more times for somebody's son. I was gonna bust it wide open once again. Somebody's son who can't even afford toilet tissue to wipe their behind. Someone's son who can't even pay for my bride price. But you know what? That's another story for another day. You know what I'm saying? But I was coming wide open for them and make them feel like a whole legend up in these streets. And God was just tired of me. But he was like, the Holy Spirit was just like, Vani, come on the winning team. Like, I got you. And I was just like, no, celibacy is for the birds. I'm going to be out here doing my thing, and I'm just going to pray that you keep me safe from any diseases and anything. You see that? But the funny thing is that life has its way of turning and making you start to think about the next steps. And I think it was God's moment of like, aha, I knew I was going to get you. Keep on running away. I knew I was going to get you. And at the time, I was transitioning to graduate. So again, it was my super senior year, which is my 5th year at the university. And I started to put a lot of things into perspective. Number one, I was graduating. So I had to make sure that things were aligning after I graduated, because graduation is beautiful, but what is your plan afterwards? Where are you working? What are you doing? So a lot of that came into heavy perspective, and I just knew that I always wanted greater for myself, even though I didn't value myself the way that I value myself now, but I knew that I was destined for greatness, and I knew I had to make sure that my actions, my mindset, my actions, my behaviors, everything about me had to line up. So I started thinking about that. I was like, oh, baby, you need to get it together. Oh, fast. And I also knew at the time the relationship that I was in, I had no business being in it in the first place. I think I just was in it for the thrill initially, and then the toxicity took over and my emotions that's another story for another day. We'll delve into that. But I just knew that person wasn't for me. That person was not going to be in my future. They weren't going to fit very well in my future. So I was just like, all right, we need to start shifting some things and start cleaning house mentally, physically, spiritually, and just get ready for this shift. Also, my man at that time, even though I was trying to get rid of him, he was acting up. So because he was acting up, it just made sense to finally like say, you know what, let me really kick you to the curb now. He was just being annoying and just not communicating and doing all that other stuff. And I was like, okay, you want to play games? Because two could play those games. And you ain't finna get none of my cookies. You ain't gonna get no milk and cookies from me no more, boo. So I started to hide the cookies. The level of toxicity I was in, I was young, dumb, and stupid. Please excuse it, okay? But once I did that, again, so much turmoil started to happen, and it just made sense as to why I was like, you know what, let's just cut this whole situation short. Let's move on. I go my way, you go your way. God bless us, and I need to get my life together. Celibacy really started off with, the cookies. You ain't getting none of my nookie nook anymore. But what really drove the intentionality and the submission was the fact that I needed to be a solidified person, and I needed some type of structure and stabilization. I just needed to get back to Vani. I had experienced a flood of emotions that year. I had undergone a surgery, removal of a tissue in my breast for the second time. I was facing all kinds of things, nervousness about transitioning out of college, and so many other things. And I just was an emotional ball. Although I kept my emotions to myself a lot of the times, I'm still somewhat like that, but in a healthier way, where I'm even more discerning of who I express my emotions to and who I surround myself with. But at that time, I was just just very seclusive when it came to emotions. And because I was going through that, it was just a crazy phase in my head, like just so many emotions. And at times I would catch myself just crying. A lot of the times I would just sit down and cry, or I'll be in a space and I'll just sit in my room for days. No, not for days. Let's chill. Take it easy. But there would be times where I just sit in my room for like an hour or two, or I'll be in a space and I'll just cry. And it just felt really uncomfortable because inside of me, I felt like I was experiencing this disassociation. It was a disassociation between my spirit and the person that I saw in the mirror, my physicality. And they didn't know each other anymore. My spirit held my morals, my standards, everything that I was taught, and the woman that I was destined to be, those predestined qualities. My spirit held that, and my spirit was very strong and wanted to, persevere. Not to say that my physicality didn't have that, but it was just like the person who I had become, I didn't really know her. And my spirit yearned to get back to a place to say, hey, I really know myself. I really value myself, and I see myself in this light, in this positive light. So like I said, I experienced that. But then just last week, or just the other day actually, a sermon confirmed, and I heard the Holy Spirit just say that was part of the reason too, where in that morning I was my spirit, my physicality just mourning, what the decision I was about to make that would be life altering and actually really good for my spirit. But we'll talk about that a little later. But I experienced those tearful days. And then one thing that really stuck with me at that point was I looked in the mirror one day, and as I previously shared about the disassociation, when I looked in the mirror, I saw this person and I was just like, I don't know her, and I want to get to know her. I want to know what she likes again, what she really believes in, and what she holds close to her. And I want to be whole again. Overall, I want to be whole again. So in order for me to take these steps to be whole, I had to just take this challenge and see if I really had the audacity to listen to God, if I really had the audacity to stick this out and really shut that door and say, okay, God, I give this to you, and you take control, and you finally take the keys to this car, because I am crashing all over the place, and you would be a better driver than me, and you can guide me. So that's what really wrapped it all up for me, and how I was able to say, hey, say yes, when he asked me to have the keys.
Hello, it's me again. Tell a friend to tell a friend.
Celibacy, it will in fact test everything in you. Everything. Every bone, every fiber, every nerve, everything that in you, it will test. Because this journey, it's not for the weak. It's very hard, but it's worth it. But the one thing about celibacy is that it's a discipline. So therefore, discipline is universal, and it will spill over into every sphere of your life. For me, I've experienced celibacy mentally, physically, and spiritually. Now, physically, as we all know, you are denying yourself of any sexual pleasure. And as humans, we love instant gratification. Instant gratification runs this world. It runs it, and it runs it rampant, because we are just out here. We get mad in a drive-thru fast food because it's not fast enough. Like, for real. Mind you, half the time you're like me, you're just in the driveway just looking for fries. You know what I'm saying? So we love instant gratification, and when we can't have that, it makes us go crazy. It makes us go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And when it comes to celibacy, when you're denying yourself sexual pleasure, your hormones, that's the time if you think your hormones go crazy any other time, this is the time they show off. They show off and show off. You know that one kid, you know when you're a kid, right? And your mom said, don't show off and show off. But there was one place you just decided to act up and you did it to the T. Like you could have got an Oscar for it. That's how your hormones are. And I experienced that. We'll get into that a little later. But that's physical. Now, mental, it's something a little different. Whenever you are mustering the courage to do something, you have to have a motive and you have to make a decision. Before you can even have a motive, you need to have a decision. You need to make a decision. And as humans, when we make decisions in our head, when we are so solid on it, there is nothing, and I mean nothing in this world that would take us away from that decision. And when we make those decisions or that decision, we tend to have all of our mannerisms, our behaviors, everything surrounds that one decision. So for celibacy, I had to decide, do I want to stay in the life that I am right now and feel unlike myself or not really disassociated from myself and be in a continuous cycle of jumping from relationship to relationship or just being with people who are not worth my fingernail or don't deserve the presence of my fingernail? Or do I want a better life? Do I want, first and foremost, a relationship with Christ, a better relationship? Do I want better things in my life? So I had to make that decision. And once I made that decision, everything, every action, every thought, every behavior, everything just really circled around, okay, this is my decision. Now, spiritually is a big factor. When it comes to spirituality and spiritual discipline, I believe I should have actually said this first, because in order for you to make a decision and allow your actions and your behaviors, etc., to surround that decision, you need to make sure that the decision you're making is based on something that's solid and that's unwavering. And such as a disciplined journey as this, you need to make sure that your decision is not in something that is human based or just on, I want to try this, but more so you have a focal point, and that focal point keeps you in a constant state of accountability, and also it keeps you just knowing that you have something that you can go back to and just find solace and find connectivity and strength in. And for me, that was going back to my relationship with Christ, making sure that my celibacy was not just founded in, oh, Vanya wants to try something new, but more so saying, hey, I want to develop, another goal of mine is to develop a relationship with Christ. And I know when I'm developing a relationship with Christ, there's certain things that I have to follow and abide by. And one of them is making sure that I'm not committing premarital sex. Now, as a believer in the Bible, I am a believer. It strictly says that that sex is for marriage and marriage only. And when you are stepping out of line and having premarital sex, you open yourself up to many things, many negative emotions, but also you open the doors for negative soul ties, spiritual soul ties to a person. Because marriage is the symbolism of God creating covenant with the church, which is AKA the believers. Because you're doing that, and you're becoming one with a person, when you start becoming one with other people outside of the context of marriage, you're not only disobeying God, but you're literally making a mockery of his covenant. So, to bring it all back full circle, I had to make sure that if I'm, again, building a relationship with Christ, that I'm following and I'm following his law to the T. And again, with my celibacy, I wanted to make sure that I connect to a source where if there's a whole bunch of temptation coming my way, that I know I can plug into an entity and say, hey, I need your support. I need your divine intervention. I need your grace. Grace is what sustained me and what kept me. If it were not for grace, I don't know where I'll be. But, that's what really kept me and held me accountable every step of the way, and also helped me to find accountability partners to keep me grounded and make sure that my constraints were right in place. Accountability partners. So accountability partners are so essential, because this journey is very rigorous. There's a lot of tearing down, reconstructing, getting to know yourself, and also disciplining yourself mentally, spiritually, and physically. You need to be surrounded by community that really supports you wholeheartedly. When I first brought out that I was going to be celibate until marriage, a few friends laughed at me. I believe 2 of my siblings were like, okay, Jess, like, all right. They already couldn't come to terms that I was having sex. But they were like, okay, all right. Okay, cool. So, nah. My whole squad really, they didn't believe me. It was so sad. But at the end of the day, it's just important for you to have a solid group of people, whether it be 1, 2, or 3, or a whole squad, that really supports your move and really supports you going forth in your decision. Because of this journey, again, being very rigorous and it just being life altering, you need to be able to be vulnerable around people. You need to be able to say what you need to say and talk about your temptations without any limitations. So therefore, I currently have three solid accountability partners. And those persons are my friend Abigail. Hey, Abby. My friend Galila. Hey, G. And one of my beautiful friends, Elsie. My L Bell. And these women collectively have supported me so in depth. Like, my appreciation towards them is just beyond this world, because they allow me to be so authentic in front of them and just undress how I'm feeling, whether it be temptations, whether it be moments where I felt like I could not go anymore. They were always available and there to really remind me and redirect me as to what my main focus was, but also the strength that I had. And number 3, the journey that I've already taken. They just helped me to just sit back and analyze, and they were like, you know what, it's gonna be okay. Non-judgmental and just always supportive and trustworthy. I knew that when I told them something, no other ear would hear it, but they would give me solid counsel, because they were also looking to God and they were getting their counsel from Him. So that whole domino effect was just amazing. And shout out to y'all. I love y'all, like, from the bottom of my heart. And because of them, I have been able to be such a great accountability partner to other people. So kindness goes a long way.
So come and let's talk.
Highs and lows of celibacy. So there's quite some highs and there's a few lows. With the highs, I have my list here with me because I can't remember them all, but definitely my relationship with Christ, it just boomed. I am fasting, I am praying, I'm before His face. I'm not the most perfect believer, but I'm telling you, progression is everything. And to see where I was before, being farther away from Christ, and now where I am, I'm just so grateful for grace. Thank God for grace. I'm open to the Holy Spirit, so of course, tuning in, reading His Word, just sticking with God, I'm more receptive to the Spirit, Holy Spirit's voice, and I just follow through what He is saying and what He wants to share. My self-awareness has peaked, so I am always checking in with myself and making sure that I am living my best life, but also living at a great standard. So am I, practicing the fruits of the Spirit? Am I doing things? Am I setting boundaries? Am I doing things that are really applicable and appropriate to my journey? Another thing is self-value, the way I value myself and the way I believe in me being in spaces that I'm supposed to be in. I don't self-sabotage. I don't, try to ruin moments for myself, but more so pushing myself to be my greatest person and being at my best. I'm also investing in myself, so I'm in arenas where it's helpful for my growth and development, but also I'm around people who are sharing that same love and same passion for life and zeal for life, and that they help me accept love from them and I'm able to give love to them. I've definitely gained a lot of focus and direction in my life. I'm really following through with purpose. Before I was kind of all scattered trying to figure it out, but I've definitely gained a lot of insight in regards to, okay, pausing and stopping and saying, God, what is it that you really want me to do in my life? What platform do you want me to do in Exhibit A? This is one of them. So I'm so grateful for that. Another thing is discipline. Discipline has spilled over into my life. So being patient and waiting in this process helps me to be patient and waiting in other things and not being hasty and so impulsive to make decisions and just go into avenues that I have no business going into. Discernment in choosing myself, again, choosing friends and family to be around, because just because somebody calls you friend, just because somebody calls you family, doesn't mean that they really have the best interest for you. So making this process has allowed me to be able to sift through friendships and through relationships and say, you know what, you're not really good for me in this season, so maybe our time is up, and being okay and moving on. Last but not least, setting boundaries. Setting boundaries, and I'll talk about that in later videos, but being able to set a certain standard for myself and go by that and hold myself accountable, that has been the most tremendous experience, because now I'm a more vocal person. I've always been vocal, but the authority that I have behind my vocal, it's not condescending, but it's so reassuring and it's so solid because it's me, and I'm setting a standard as to how I want to be treated, how I want to be respected. And if you can't follow through that, that's not a me issue, that's a you issue. So I'm so proud of that. Yes.
Come on, let's talk.
Now some lows. I wouldn't call them like L's really, but at a certain point after my first year of celibacy, I got a little cocky. I started to look through a judgmental lens, and I also started getting like, oh, I got this, I don't need God. And God was like, okay, I'm going to let you fall on your behind, but you know what? I'm going to catch you afterwards, but I'm going to let you do what you're going to do and let you finish. And I started entertaining a lot of people who just weren't really worth my time. I was going out on dates, and just the blows of, oh, you're celibate? Nah, I'm good. Like, I'm telling you, when I got ghosted like worse than Casper. Like, Casper was friendly. All these other people were not friendly. They were suspicious, But I had no business playing around with them. But, through that process, I was able to, thank God, get it back together. But because I entertained those people, I allowed myself to diminish all the progress that I've made, and I had to kind of go back and rebuild. And that's a hard process, because now you're dealing with self-guilt, you're dealing with shame. I didn't have sex with anybody, thank God. Whew. But it could have went there if I really allowed it to. But I, put myself in a position where I had to rebuild. So I'm dealing with, like, again, shame, I'm really shaming myself, and that's something that I've been working on, not shaming myself but being graceful towards myself. But I was just being really hardcore, and I was like, you knew better, and so I had to deal with that, and that's really hard. And again, this is something I would talk about more in another video, because I really want to touch down on this a lot.
Baby, come on, let's talk.
I value my celibacy journey so much. It's very endearing to me, and I hold it very close to me. I am a part of it. It is a part of me. I live, I breathe it every single day. So there's not a moment that I don't think about it. My pastor always says, when you have no value on something, your vision is very blurry. And in order for you to have fixed focus and be able to surround your emotions, your thoughts, and your behaviors around something, you really have to put a lot of value to it. And that's just what I have for celibacy. For those who are watching, thank you. For those who are interested in joining in, I'm available to you. And those who are on the journey, I'm here to support you. I got your back. Stay tuned, subscribe, and we will be uncovering so many things regarding a celibacy journey. I'll be sharing my experiences, and then also I'll be looking forward to your questions, your thoughts, and just so much to unravel with you. Thank you so much. And again, don't forget to subscribe. YouTube, JM's Pearls of Wisdom, and on Instagram at __ JM's Pearls. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Come on, let's talk. Oh, no, it's alright.